What's up, everyone? It's your boy Scott. Welcome to the Scott Report. Welcome back, RWBY, and happy 100th episode to RWBY as well, as today we are here to talk about RWBY, Volume 8, Episode 8 for our RWBY recap. And it doesn't seem like we've been on this journey for that long, but here we are. Wow, RWBY is at 100 episodes. I mean, I knew we were going to get to it at some point. It's just because you know this series and where it came from when you look back on how far it's come, especially animation wise, and just how much the fan base supports it, how much we care about it. It just feels good to get to a milestone. And of course, RWBY is RWBY. That's never a bad thing. But with it being episode 100, I expect it to be a little bit longer. I mean, the longer episode count for this volume especially, and the last few prior, kind of spoiled me on the average runtime. But for the grand return of RWBY, especially with episode 100, we were only clocking in at about 17 minutes. You chop that down to about 14 or 15 once you factor in the opening and ending credits. And again, it's not that it was a bad thing. I just expected this episode to be a little bit longer, but that doesn't mean that it didn't have as less impact. Because however, this is also RWBY, where the episode count was standard once for them only to be maybe even 12 minutes. So time management is something that this series tends to do very well. So without further ado, let's get right to it. We kick things off with the jailbreak, which may have got a little bit easier for Crow, Robin, Jocks, and the Doctor during the grim attack, as the door was blasted right open and we see an all-familiar bird that indicates the return of none other than Crow's sister and Yang's mother, Raven, back into the fold. They'll need all the help they can get, honestly, and that's one hell of a start, I'll tell you, because she is freaking powerful, and we know she's still out there and she can be a big help to the team once she gets on the same page. The Doctor, on the other hand, was taken by Cinder, who no doubt has plans to get that run back on Penny, and overall just to get the maiden power, because that's what she's after overall, is just to make herself stronger. And we know she's staging some type of coup in order to overthrow Salem, which, yeah, isn't gonna work. We're just waiting to see how that's gonna fare out. But speaking of Penny is also in pretty bad shape. We see that she's getting taken care of as she fell from the sky when we last seen her, and she's in pretty bad shape, like I said. So now we have her and Nora on the injured list. And Blake even mentioned that Penny's leaking. I mean, we've seen Penny in battle, we've seen her take damage, but we have never seen damage like this. I mean, just fluid was everywhere. You also add to the fact that Ironwood and the Doctor did something to her. It just leaves me worried for her moving forward. And I've expressed this many times in this volume. I think that's going to be the biggest pain point when we finally get to that part of everything, especially considering the Doctor more than likely set it up so only he can control her when needed, and Ironwood is just thinking that he's in control, all the while the Doctor has his own schemes. I think we're going to see that play out, especially with Cinder having him now, because I'm pretty sure he's going to be more scared of Cinder than he is of Ironwood. I mean, I shudder to think what this madman's done to our beloved Penny, and it's just sad thinking that Team RWBY's maybe gonna have to destroy her to stop her. I really hope it doesn't get to that, but this volume, it just seems like that's what they're indicating, and that seems like what they're pushing towards is gonna pull our heartstrings. But in order to do anything, first and foremost, the team needs to restore power, and Klein can only do so much without power in order to work on Penny and get her back up to shape. So in a stroke of genius, House Snee is on board. I mean, everybody came and stepped up in this episode that was in the house. I mean, Whitley proposed a plan to get the family tech resources to get the power back on, and even good old drunk Mama Snee came out of her room, just to be company. She was like, you know what? I need to be more helpful. I want to come out. I want to help. I don't want to be shunned in this room anymore. So that was refreshing to see her get to that point. And this is what RWBY does very well. No matter how grim things seem, they find a light just to make you smile and give you hope that everything will be all right. Even in times like this, the volumes that we've had before, we've seen it in the past. RWBY, of all people, is always the most optimistic person, but the things that we've gone through from the last, I would say 3 volumes, to see her of all people feeling helpless, that's pretty big. And there's always somebody there to, be that shoulder for her to cry on and push her forward and assure her that as long as we press forward, everything will be okay. And that's actually been Blake, which is a huge step for her character given her past. I mean, for Blake, of all people, now to be the voice of reason and the optimism for the team. It just shows her growth as a character, and one that we've seen grow before our eyes. It's like watching a friend or a relative grow up, to see someone who has such a troubled past now be the most optimistic person in the room. And even her just being the strong lead that RWBY needs to help her stay focused. The development is off the charts. It is development central with these characters. We're seeing it now with Blake, and I'm just so happy for her because, everything that went on with her was just so dark. So for her to finally be looking up and even admit that I didn't always have the best outlook on life, but now things are going to be okay if we stay together. It's a really big step to see that. And that's the type of thing that's needed because Volume 8 has been really dark. I mean, really dark. That's actually the name of this episode, which is dark as well. But as you know, there are tons of Grimm on the loose too. So that leaves RWBY, Blake, and Weiss to fend off that super Grimm that we saw not too long ago. Mama Sneak gives in to her fear, and we now have evil Penny on the loose too. So all of that talk I just talked about things getting happy and looking optimistic and going up just went out the window in about 2 minutes. I mean, with Penny, she's fighting off the control, and a lot of that was thanks to the encouragement of Nora telling her that you got this, you're Penny. Don't let anything take you over. You know yourself better than anyone else. It's just going to take her over at some point. And because Penny is also the Winter Maiden, the Grimm is after her. You got Ironwood trying to take her over. You got Cinder wanting her. She is a central focus of power for all sides, which makes her very important. And I say it time and time again, I just fear she's going to get taken away from us. Team RWBY and the Sneed family was able to get some victories in this episode. I mean, it wasn't all bad. Whitley was able to get the data he needed off his father's laptop to accomplish the mission. Weiss was able to keep him and her mom out of danger, and the combined work of all of them was enough to barely fend off that super Grimm. But even though they did, thanks to RWBY bossing up and using her silver eye powers to subdue it and put it down, the damage to Penny slowly losing control may be too far gone for just hope to work. I mean, overall, she's gonna get to the point where she can't power through the programming, and just you can see the fear on her face that this is going to happen sooner than later. But the biggest shock of all of this episode was finally revealed what make these super Grimm tick, and why they're so intelligent, and that's because they're actually inheriting the body of a host. It's a person in there. In this case, it was a male finalist whose sole purpose was to take Penny. I mean, he just kept saying, get the girl, get the girl. It was very haunting. It was very horror movie-ish, and to see the type of things that Salem will do. I mean, we're never safe when Salem's directly involved. Now that we see that she can really say screw using henchmen and just straight up control people via Grimm, I mean, the people that are working for her are getting off pretty easy as she hasn't done this earlier. So yeah, can't help but worry what's going to happen if she gets someone that actually has power. And that seems to be her plan all along. And if that goes off, oh boy. And we can't forget that she also still has Oscar in custody. So we need to get that dude some help quick, or maybe, Hazel will come to and let him go. This things isn't looking good, especially seeing what she's done with this Grimm. So wow, yeah, RWBY 100 again. It was a short episode, but it had very big impact. RWBY always goes in when it needs to, and I'm just glad that we're finally here and we're sitting here talking about 100 episodes of RWBY, which makes it officially long running. So that is good. Hats off to Rooster Teeth and the team. Always rest in peace to Monty Ohm. And I know he'd be just ecstatic and happy to see how much love RWBY has gotten from us, because we love RWBY. We absolutely love it. I mean, this is better than American cartoons. It's better than some anime. It has a loving fan base, and it just makes me smile to see it finally get here. So yeah, with that being said, RWBY episode 100 is in the books, and I hope there's many more ahead, as volume 8 has been the most solid one yet. And we still got a few episodes to go, so it has time to only get better and probably leave us on the cliffhanger that it always does for the things coming next season. So I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Guys, let me know what you thought of this video as well as the episode. And as always, if you liked the video, go ahead and drop it a like. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit that bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop a video. So until next time, it's your boy Scott signing out. See you soon.